Some news has popped up in regards to World of Warcraft. It's a 2-minute read, it's from the PC Gamer. I don't know how everyone's feeling about it, but I think it's a good thing. I don't know whether everyone else would agree with me or not. And it's basically this. For the first time in 20 years, World of Warcraft will let solo players fight the hardest boss in a story mode raid difficulty. Now what that implies is I think it just means you could just solo this game as a story. World of Warcraft players have spent years asking Blizzard to let them do raids without a full group of players, so they can just see how the story ends. Starting today with the War Within, that will finally be possible, with some minor caveats. Story mode is a new difficulty setting available for the War Within's first raid, Naruba Palace. Can't even pronounce the names right. It lets you walk into the raid as a solo player, or with up to 9 other players, and fight the last boss at a reduced difficulty. The boss won't drop normal raid loot, but it'll let you turn in one final quest with its own rewards. Basically, you're not going to get the loot, you're just going to complete the story, and you're going to get the loot from completing the quest that's in relation to the raid. I mean, that's fair enough, but at the same time, you want the good loot from the raid as well, so obviously, you've got 2 options, which I think is good. It's a good option. If you're just a casual player, you're not bothered about trying to fit into other groups and stuff, and you just want to play the game as it is, then fair enough. Or if you want to be a hardcore gamer, like the game has always intended you to do for years now, you can still do that, but you'll get the loot. So there's like two differences. I think it's good. It gives players the idea on what they want to do. You could do both if you want. You could play the story mode if you want, or you could just do the raid with a big group first, and then you could do the story side of it as well. Or you can do either one. You can do either one. I think that's what they're trying to say. You've got an option. To access story mode, you have to finish the entire campaign, of course, including the quests that only unlock once you reach the level 80 cap. The specific quest that sends you into the raid comes from an NPC in the new capital city of Donegal, and has a few steps to finish before you can take on the boss. The reward for defeating the boss is a bunch of currency for upgrading your gear, which is pretty nice considering you can do this all by yourself. Earlier this year, I spoke with Associate Game Director Morgan Day, and he told me story mode is still sort of an experiment for Blizzard. Hey, there's nothing wrong. I mean, the fact that Blizzard are now at a high peak, they can experiment whatever they want, and they can get whether it's they're allowed to take these risks. They're allowed to do these risks. He told me the development team has already discussed what it would like if they added story mode to all the dungeons, especially those encountered while leveling up. We've talked often about, like, wouldn't it be cool if I do Wrath of the Lich King Chromie time, and I end my leveling experience defeating Arthas? How cool would that be? They said. Right now, you end that experience in a way that's like, wait, what's going on? WoW has always locked its biggest story events behind its raids, and even though you can breeze through them with the looking for raid tool, it would be nice to see a regular option for solo players. The War Within just introduced delves, mini dungeons that can be completed alone for gear rewards that rival many of the group activities in the MMO. If it continues, story mode would be an excellent complement to WoW's growing number of solo-focused features. This is the first time we've done it exactly like this. We're going to try this out, they said. We want to understand how you guys respond to it, because that's going to shape what we do next. Maybe people prefer something else. Maybe they want a different version of it. So, in a nutshell, there is a story mode for raid that you can do. Obviously, you're not going to get the raid specific loot from it because you're just doing the story mode of it. I'm okay with that. I'm casual. I'm not bothered whether I do it story mode or I get a group to do it. The way I do it is I just do it as like a stages. So there is a feature on WoW, on the raids, where you could just do it as a level at a time, and you do it through that, which is basically the looking for raid tool, or the looking for group tool as well that's featured in it as well. And yeah, and if you just want to do it on your own, do it on your own. Actually, funny enough, the dungeon that I did, the very first, not the first time, but the second time I did it, I had NPCs with me. And I think that was the Rookery? I think it was the Rookery. It was the first dungeon in the Hollow Dawn. And I thought that's an interesting take. Obviously, you're not going to get the loot from it, but you're completing it for the story reasons. And I guess it's also a way of, like, it's a quick way of completing the whole campaign.